Yo, yo. What's up? It's Steve Ray with Art Life Money. And yeah, I'm just here to kick it with you and just vibe out for a minute. So, in a minute, we'll have my dude Sun Cypher come through and we'll probably chop it up for a little bit. We're going to go through some sacred geometry art and sort of riff on that. But I hope everyone's doing good. I hope that everyone is feeling blessed with all the craziness going on right now. Yeah, word. Let's get into it. So, first off, we're gonna jump into. First of all, shout out to Lofi Girl and Lofi Records. We're gonna jump into some sacred geometry art, starting from A. Uh, alphabetical order A. First, we have Adam Scott Miller. Maybe on stream, we will look up who Adam Scott Miller is. But this is from sacredgeometryart.com. And yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time. And let's get into it. I don't know if the music is going to be able to play while we look at some of this art, but we'll toggle back and forth if we have to. Word up. So here we have holding space, he calls it. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Word. So what do you guys think? What do you guys see here? Holding space. Wow. This is dope. This is really dope. This is by Adam Scott Miller. Let me hop onto Sun Cypher is here. And I'm gonna add him to the stream. What's up, bro?
Yo, what's good? What's good? You can hear me?
Yeah, man. Glad you're here.
Okay.
Can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, I got you. What's popping? Are you live? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
live.
I'm live. Yeah, we're live, man. Sorry to put you on the spot. I'm still getting used to this streaming.
Oh, good, God. So what's cracking?
Word. Not much, man. I was just about to go through some sacred geometry art, um, and just kind of vibe out for a bit. But I'm glad you could join the
Yeah, well,
conversation because I'm sure you'll be able to add a lot to it.
oh man, I'm glad you invited me, bro. This is right up my alley. I need this in my life right about now. But I'm
For
riding
sure.
shotgun, so I'll let you go ahead and take the wheel, God.
Yeah, yeah, man. Can you see the screen? Can you see the
Yeah, yeah,
picture up
yeah,
on the
yeah,
screen?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what are your vibes on that? It's dope, right? This is Adam Scott Miller. So I just went to this website, StreamYard. I'm sorry, sacredgeometryart.com, just to check out some artwork. Which is dope, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, this is my language. This is how the universe
Yeah.
speaks to me. So,
Mm,
anytime I see geometry like this, or I'm
yeah.
experiencing it in my daily walk, I'm inspired because, just depends on, my state of mind. Communication or the translations are different.
Mm,
But to me, like this is purity, because we know like communication, like the purest form is symbolism. So
Yeah.
geometry are
Hmm.
symbols. You know what I'm saying? So to me, this is the language of the creator.
Nice, bro. That's fire. Well said. Well said, my man. So what's new, bro? What you been up to?
Man, I've been in the lab, yo, like hard and stuff. I got a
Nice.
gig this weekend, and but even more than that, like I got like a list of 30 tracks. I might have told you that I need to
Yeah.
record. I'm about 10 tracks into that, So between that and just kind of paying attention to what's going on the blockchain, and real life
Mm.
shit.
Yo, what do
That's
you
what
think
I'm
of this
juggling.
PLS Pulse X um, jump off?
I'm excited, bro.
Yeah,
I
bro.
feel like
Super
it's right
crazy.
around the corner. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. I'm super pumped, especially with all of the stuff I've been seeing, like all the staking and yield farming. Um, it just looks, man, it looks fire. It's crazy because we're so involved in it and we're so early that it feels like it's too good to be true. But when you really take a step back and realize what it is, if this dude pulls it off, man, it's gonna be epic, bro. You still there, man? Think you're muted, bro. Did I mute you? Did I mute you? Oh, okay. He's muted. Word. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll wait for homie to connect back.
Yeah, yeah, no, all good, all good.
We're
What was I gonna? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay, yeah. So you said something about too good to be true, right? That thought
Yeah,
actually crept into my mind in the past 24 hours. Like I
yeah,
generally don't even allow myself to think like that, But that thought
yep,
actually crept into my mind the last 24 hours, so I had to check myself and
yeah.
like think about, what this shit is really about because I know, this guy has a
Mm,
proven track record and we
yeah.
already, in his little world already with this hex, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at, what I invested versus like, what will be the outcome. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that would be pretty fucking cool.
Mm,
So now it's just like I'm pretty much at the point where I'm like, I know it's gonna happen.
mm-hmm.
I know that we're gonna see like dividends that we've never seen before in our life.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just
yeah,
really been building on what I'm doing, like post all of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah.
pretty much already knowing that it's gonna happen. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever the high and euphoria comes, I'm pretty much even killing shit.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I've been thinking about a lot about that too, because I'm in this weird space of like, am I getting ready too early? But at the same time, I don't, like you said, getting everything ready. I don't want it to catch me off guard. So, um, and then like having the doubts at the same time, but it's like it's just human nature, right? Um, but yeah, man, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be crazy.
I'll tell you this one thought that I had and shit that I guess it could be terrifying in a sense, because I've pretty much been retired as far as like where I am right now.
Yeah,
In Australia, I've been worked for like over a year. Um, so I'm thinking, I have all of these plans, to progress and move forward and stuff like that. But then I thought, well, what happens if this whole shit turns upside down?
for
Are
real.
you ready to fucking get back out there and grind this shit?
Yeah, that's
And I'm
why
like, well,
yeah,
I wouldn't like it, but yeah, of course, because I'm gonna be grinding anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's just something about having like this false security of these material fucking dividends. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, I feel that 100%. I feel like the fact that I feel it's very probable that this plays out the way we are all envisioning it is making me go harder in my day-to-day business, in my day-to-day life, in my mental health, my physical health, because I just realized like you said, what if this doesn't go through? You know, I'm not in a position like you where I retired yet. I'm not there yet, but I just feel like, yeah, like it's just made me go harder. Like the more the crazier the X's, the 1,000 X's, the 10,000 X's, sort of play out in my imagination. The more I'm like, yo, you got to get your shit together. You got to make sure your business is on point, your health is on point, your family's on point, your mental health is on point, and you as a creator, as a god, you got to make sure you're on point. So it's interesting in that way, and I think that's why this community is also so dope, because you got a lot of people that are like that. We're not all just like moon boys, like, oh, yo, this shit's gonna moon and we're gonna be mega rich and Lambos. It's like, no, now it's time to grind. But yeah, man, I feel
Yeah,
you.
yeah, that's when the grind really starts, right? As far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah, that's dope, man. Have you played around
Definitely.
with testnet or anything like that?
I've been on there. I've been on there. You know, clearly I
Yeah,
went to go. I mean, I've been playing around with it kind of throughout, but as far as the
yeah,
2.B, I just went on there and checked my balance for post chain.
mm, yeah,
I did my post X sacrifice through Staker app, so I can't see that yet. And
yeah,
I went and looked at the front end for like the swaps and bridges and all
hmm
that stuff like that or whatever.
yeah, yeah. There's already people posting on Twitter like messing around with the interest that they're making by staking Pulse X. And it looks crazy. It looks really crazy, man. Do you
Yeah,
mess with
man.
K4K crypto at all? He's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I got him.
the
I got him on dial. I got him on
he,
dial. I haven't
oh
seen
man,
this last one he put out. I got it
oh
on my
dude, the
fucking
last like 3 videos
play.
he's put out is straight fire, man. The dude's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's man, it's revolutionary, bro. Because it could literally flip the whole crypto game like upside down. Like this is like the beginning again. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And like you said, I think
yeah,
because we've been in this from Hex, we don't actually, even though we are aware, when you're
yeah,
in this shit, like literally in the trenches, you can't really see like
yeah,
the forest for the trees, so to speak. But this is a
yeah,
big fucking deal. I mean, we know it's a big deal, right?
yeah,
But to see, like, to be a part of something so revolutionary
yeah,
and all the game mechanics involved in it, like pretty much to ensure that this shit is gonna fucking pop off, it's
yeah.
pretty exciting, man. You know what I'm saying?
Wow, man,
I
that's so
mean,
dope.
imagine being able. Basically, we're in a position where we Ethereum in the beginning, Bitcoin in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Uniswap in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? This is a position that we're in right now with this P hex, right? We got the Pulse
Mm,
chain, which is Ethereum, and we got this Pulse X, which is Uniswap, Sushi Swap, and every single swap stacked on top of each other.
mm. Yeah, man.
And we've got like the first market on all of that. You know what I'm saying?
And bro, it's so crazy because I was thinking about how, first of all, like Pulse X and Pulse Chain are deflationary, right? And I
Yep.
was thinking about like everybody that is smart, I think, is gonna stake at least some portion of their bag. Like I probably won't stake everything, because some of it I'm gonna treat it like uh, uh, a hex stake and just like put it in a wallet like far away from me for like 5, 10, 15 years, right? But some
Yeah.
of it I'm gonna play around with, right, and get that yield. But I was thinking today, if you're staking Pulse Chain, staking PulseX, all that interest that you're earning, you're gonna use that to buy more PulseX and Pulse Chain. So it's gonna create this like massive. If we're all doing this, because I feel like this is what Hexicans do. If we're all doing this, it's gonna create this massive positive feedback loop that's just gonna keep pumping the price. Which is
Yep.
just crazy.
Yep.
It's crazy. Like,
100%. And everybody's talking about different variations of
yeah,
that, depending on like which coin that you
yeah,
value,
yeah,
first, second, and third and shit like that. But yeah, that's the thing, man. Like I don't
yeah.
really. I mean, honestly, I don't really see like a reason why we would ever have to liquidate any posts. You know
No,
what I'm
that's why.
saying?
Yeah, that's why it goes back to like I was saying, like grinding harder in your business and whatever else you want to do. Now the difference is when you have that capital and those assets to back you, is you can do what you want to do. You can grind in your passion, you can put the work towards the energy that you want it, direct the energy where you want it to go. So that's the difference. But you're just gonna grind harder, bro, and hopefully we never have to sell these assets, man. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And plus you got protocols like liquid loans and hedge fund
Yeah.
that allows you to extract value out of your pulse
Mhm.
bag, out of your hex bag, without
Yeah.
actually liquidating
Yeah.
your coins.
Yeah, we're gonna get Hedron on 2 chains, bro. It's just gonna be crazy. Oh man, you get double the bag, bro. I'm so pumped.
Yeah.
This is gonna be crazy.
So anybody out there listening, if you catch this on rewind, hex.com, postchain.com, postx.com, yo, that's the future.
For real, man.
That's the future of blockchain. If you're into decentralization, owning what's yours, no middleman, no third-party risk, arbitrage, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? The best rates, the cheapest transactions. Post chain is where you want to be at, yo. For real.
Yeah, man. And all your ERC20s are gonna be copied over. We're gonna be pulling liquidity from Ethereum. Man, it's gonna be. This is why I think RH is bringing the financial frequency into this 3D from other dimensions, man. Because it's legit, like, out of this world. It's legit out of this dimension, man. So many levels to this game theory. It's crazy.
Yeah, yo,
Damn,
this
bro.
game theory is getting out of hand too. I mean, it's ridiculous. But what's really interesting to me, I feel like it's very difficult, like for someone in our positions, based on all we have at our disposal. Like I can't see motherfuckers like going broke. In fact, I see everybody really progress. Well, clearly not everybody, but majority of us will definitely do what you're saying and kind of maximize this thing and make sure that generationally we're taken care of, and not only that, but we can take care of generations now. You know what I'm saying? Plant these seeds. Based on the things that we've been talking about behind the scenes and on my channel as well, right? That's really, really, really what I've been focusing on and thinking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, taking care of the generations before us and after us. That's crazy, man. That's fire, bro. Damn, bro. So that was it Rod Hayes from Black Magic University? Was that,
Rod Hayes, Black Magic 363.
Wow, dude, that shit was crazy, bro.
Yeah,
that shit was crazy.
Holy shit.
I was bugging out. I could feel my DNA vibrating.
It's fun. Thanks for mentioning that, because I actually there was one part towards the end where he was giving references, books and shit.
Oh yeah, bro, I got the whole list written down.
Okay, so I got about 2 or 3 of those joints already. Yeah. I'll send them to you, because man.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, if you got them in PDF, definitely send them to me.
Yeah, the PDF for sure.
Dope. That'd be really dope. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he knocked it out of the park. Easily knocked it out of the park.
She was crazy.
So you want to tell the people, just so we're not sitting here talking inside baseball and shit, what you're talking about?
Yeah. So I'm not too familiar with all the ins and outs. I'm just new to that channel. What was it, Black Magic University? Is that what it is?
Black Magic 363. That's Brother Rich. Okay. You can find him on YouTube.
Yeah, so he had this guest on named Rod Hayes, and basically, you could tell he was streaming consciousness from different time periods, and I'm talking like way back, and he was talking about different races, different alien races, different planets, some of the stories, some of the conflicts, some of the power, and some of the beauty of these. He was talking about Anunnaki, Nephilims, and just all these different races. This is where I think you come in a little bit stronger, but it just blew my mind, like how he was able to recall all this stuff and just communicate this stuff and convey it in such a strong and powerful way. But I don't think I would do it justice. I think you have to watch it. So maybe we can add a link in the comments or something. But see if I can find this dude.
Yeah. So I'm assuming most people who are listening are like English speaking,
Mm-hmm.
probably Christian, or at least Christian background. So you're
Yeah.
familiar with the Bible to whatever degree.
Mm.
A lot of things about the Bible, especially the earlier versions of these, like the King James version, for instance, or whatever. The original text give you more insight on what was actually going on at certain periods in the past. They all talk about all the different histories, all the different cultures, all the different religion. They refer to these beings that they call Nephilim,
Mm.
Anunnaki, the Anakim, the Rephaim. These are type
Mm.
names you would hear in the Bible. The what's the Elohim. These are all
Mm.
words that you will hear or read in the Bible or whatever. But the problem is, these were actual beings that are here and have been
Mm.
here for a long time,
Yeah.
apparently, or whatever. So it's just, to me, from this story, it just seems to me that, like, these beings that we mistakenly call gods,
Mm.
they had like tendencies worse than us, like, I mean, in a lot of ways and shit. It was,
Mm.
jealousy, it was brother on brother beef, what I'm saying, idolatry, what I'm saying, like
Mm.
gluttony, like, a bit of, like,
Yeah.
um overt sexuality, and all of these things that
Yeah.
we deal with today. All of that shit was going on back then, except for these cats were like extra dimensional beings that had
Yeah.
superior technology.
Yeah. It was trippy when he said, um, when he was talking about like your chakras and how you sort of need to, have the process and the proper like ascension mechanics to be able to open up your chakras and clear your chakras.
Yeah.
Um, and this is something that I've noticed, and I think I talked to you about this last time about how your DNA sort of has um, sort of protections in it to not let you just blow yourself out like that. So I thought it was really cool that he talked about how there's a process to it, and how you kind of, because I think a lot of times when people come into different awakenings, or like start to become aware of their consciousness, they just want to blow it out the park, right? Because it's such a crazy realization. So I thought that was cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
Oh, no, no,
but
definitely, for
yeah.
sure. Like, there was a whole list of like coolness that came out of that
Yeah.
dialogue that brother broke down, but
Yeah. So much, man. I gotta go back and rewatch it. There was so much good stuff.
the thing that always intrigued me that people seem to look over, and this is his Old Testament, Genesis 6, I think it is. And God said, "Let us make man in our image."
Mm.
Now, if you go back and you read transcriptions of the Sumerian text, so here's the deal with Sumeria. Sumeria is essentially in Africa, what they call the Middle East, Iraq, right? Um, that's the area, the region that Sumeria was located. Now, these tablets that come from Sumeria, Iraq,
Mm.
they tell stories of 200,000 years to the previous time that they were written, like the life of the Anunnaki before, what I'm saying, certain ones of us, and before they actually genetically engineered Homo sapien. And this is what
Mm.
people don't understand about the history of this planet. Everybody genetically, we're not the same. And I'm not just talking about race, because there's only one race, clearly, right? You
Mm.
have original people. That's one genetic bloodstream. Then you have Homo sapien and Homo sapien. Those are completely different bloodstreams.
Mm.
Even though we're all under the human family and we're all sentient beings, right?
Yeah.
But when
Mm.
you're talking about Homo sapien, this is when the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, come into the story. This is where Genesis 6 comes into the story, and God said, "Let us, plural, make man," plural. I'm sorry, "make man in our image," plural. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So who the fuck, to me, in my mind, I'm like, so you got these guys sitting around the motherfucking campfire, smoking it up, doing whatever. And she's like, "Yeah, man,
Mm.
I'm really tired of fucking working in his mind, minding his goal, dude. Why don't we just fucking jimmy up some shit? We go call the doctor, you know what I'm saying? Geneticists, and let them do their thing and shit or whatever, and we good. You know what I'm saying? Except for those guys they were talking about were in fact these Nephilim beings and shit. And all those artifacts, you can find them in West Africa, the mines in West Africa. You got human bones that dated to a time where humans should have not have even existed. You know, so what I know for sure, and that's why this shit is so fascinating to me, even from like a DNA level, like I feel this shit in my bones, especially like with the when you're talking about Anki and shit, because I've read like the all of the Earth Chronicles and shit, the Zachariah Sitchin shit. I went through all of that. I've read the Von Daniken stuff as well, you know what I'm saying? But I haven't read a few of those like articles that we were both talking about earlier. So I'm really interested because he said a couple of things that were kind of new to me, specifically when he was talking about Inanna or Ishtar or Isis, that she was the daughter of Anu. When everything that I've ever read said that she was actually the daughter of Anki or whatever, but that's neither here nor there, but it was intriguing as hell. I know I went on, but
no, that's all good, bro. I was trying to find this book named Voyagers that I think you would dig, but anyways, we'll get into that later. No, but I feel you 100% on that, man. So talking about all that, like what you were just saying, one of the thoughts I was having is like, how does and I want to tread lightly here because I want to be politically correct, but like how do all the different races play into this? Do you know what I'm saying?
So that's why I just made that distinction, right?
Yeah.
You have original man, which are the 9 ether melanated beings of the planet. You know what I'm saying? But there's 9 ether melanated beings of the planet that are also Homo sapien and Homo sapien sapien as well, right? So that's the distinction. The distinction is, and God said, let us make man in our image.
Yeah.
But the only problem is when, quote unquote, God said that to whoever the fuck he was talking to, or she was talking to, there was already the original people roaming the fucking planet.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that's
like, to me, that's
you're basically
like,
saying like, whose image are we talking? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody here was not made in the image of these gods in Genesis 6. Everybody on the planet. You have, so that's when you get into this whole shit about the rhesus gene and all of this shit like that in monkey DNA. Do you know that everybody on the planet don't have that particular aspect in their biology, in their coding? Everybody didn't come from monkeys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But certain of us, according to the genetic studies and shit, there's again, when you go back to Homo sapien sapien, then you get into all this monkey gene shit or whatever. And again, like, to me, this is not really, I guess because we're living in quote unquote terms where we deal with politics or whatever, this is a political issue, maybe. I don't know, because I never even thought of it in such terms or whatever, but what's true is true. You know what I'm saying? And that shit matters. It matters a lot to everything that's going on this planet from then to now. It matters that God said, let us make man in our fucking image. Why do you think that we're fucking a warrior class right now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because these motherfuckers were warlords. That's what they did. They fought intergalactically and everywhere in between and shit. So of course this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Bro, I've always felt like I was fighting an intergalactic battle, man. It's crazy. I've always felt like I was just, whether it was my own demons, but sometimes I think it's just, and this is not coming from ego, but sometimes I do think that people are sensitive to certain energies and frequencies and history in their DNA. And I've always felt like on an energetic level, like I gotta hold it down, like I gotta fight for this energy, for this frequency. So yeah, it's crazy. But like, this is the reason was I connect with you on that level. But like the reason I brought up the race thing was because he was talking about Rod Hayes was talking about in that video that I posted in the chat was talking about like you know like Egypt, Africa, like Mexico, and sort of European features and all these different things. And sometimes, I think, how do I say this? Like, I think there's a tendency because we're minorities, and I'm going out on a limb here, because we're a minority, to think that, and I'm saying this because I'm not educated, so I want to see your take on this, that because we have melanin, that not that it makes us superior, but that there's something else to that. Like, I want to hear your take on that because I know you've probably looked into this.
The name of my YouTube channel is Black Dot Chronicles, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Black dot is slang term for the melanin molecule. That was
Mhm.
coined by Dr. Richard King,
Mhm.
who was a psychologist by profession, but
Mhm.
he studied this melanin molecule.
Mhm.
Also, just to drop references, there's Dr. Jewel, Jewel
Mhm.
Pookrum, Pookrum.
Mhm.
She's also like a doctor, you know what I'm saying, an actual doctor. And also, she studies the melanin molecule. Also, um, there are these scientific medical journals that
Mhm.
they produce editions of annually, called melanotropic peptides.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like 3-inch thick fucking books of just like research on the melanin molecule. Now,
Mhm.
one other interesting thing about melanin before I actually answer the question you asked me, right?
Yeah. And let me
Um,
stop you for a second because I felt like I don't want to kill your stream, but I want you to stay on it. But I said minorities, and I just had to catch myself because that's such a weird conditioned thought, like to call us minorities. Um, so I just wanted to check myself on that and just say like, don't pay no mind to that because that shit don't matter, especially where we're going with it. But yeah, continue, bro. Continue, bro.
yeah, no, it's funny you even said that because I was actually
Yeah,
gonna come back around to that shit in my
yeah,
fucking diatribe and shit, right? But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's all good. I'm actually glad you said that because a lot of people have that type of conditioning and shit, and we
Mm-hmm.
definitely need to work on that, right? But
Yeah.
so this thing about melanin is one last fun fact is that melanin is unique in the sense that it's not on the periodic chart.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why it's not on the periodic chart because in order for a new element, molecule, or whatever the fuck it is to be
Mm-hmm.
put on that chart under lab conditions, you have to be able to replicate
Mm-hmm.
the functionality and shit. But
Yeah.
whenever, or you have to be able to isolate, I should say.
Yeah.
When
Mm-hmm.
they try to isolate melanin under a microscope, literally you see like all of these, atoms, molecules and shit bouncing around already, like for like 2 seconds, and then boof, it just disappears,
Wow.
like literally
Wow.
in thin air. So
Wow.
this is melanin, yo. This shit is extra dimensional. It is a superconductor. It is the
Mm-hmm.
ultimate superconductor. It is
Mm-hmm.
literally, they talk about the information superhighway. This is melanin. Okay, when you look up in the
Mm-hmm.
sky at night, that blackness you see behind you, that's
Mm-hmm.
melanin, cosmic melanin, like absolute, like truly in living consciousness
Whoa.
that pervades the entire existence over the multi fucking verse. Okay,
Shit, bro.
that's why again in every single creation story there's some form of, in the beginning there was blackness or darkness,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they say.
Yeah.
They're telling you that before any of this shit, even before your first geometric progression, what you
Mm-hmm.
had was this consciousness of fucking blackness, is what we come to call melanin. You know what I'm saying? So going back to this thing about what you asked me about, like, us as like the original ones, the melanated beings on this planet, the keepers of all of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to balance it out because to answer your question, I think that Short answer is no. I
Mm,
think that, anybody, depending on your perspective, you can take a concept and become egotistical about it, like whatever
mm-hmm,
it is. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
So, but we know it's much deeper than that, and hopefully the people who
Yeah,
come from
that's
that
why I said.
perspective, because maybe, like, I'm sure, like, at some point, as humble as I consider myself to be in most
Mm-hmm.
occasions and shit, you know what I'm saying, I know,
Yeah.
like, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, these same concepts, I may have felt a little bit more egotistical about them, especially, at the same time, I'm doing this research about how these melanated people of the planet have been just devastated and massacred, for hundreds of years now. So
Mm-hmm.
I can understand how somebody would be egotistical about that, but this is pure science that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
So
No, and I only preface it like that because, like you said, it's just to check myself and just to let the people know that are listening that I'm really trying to bring the dialogue to its highest frequency with no ego, right? As much as we can, and just to be able to truly and honestly express ourselves. So that's why I prefaced it that way. But you said that really well, man. But yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah, and just to actually encapsulate on this concept of minority,
Hmm.
9/10 of the planet are non-white.
Hmm. That's
So
why I was
that's
like
what I
I had to
want
catch
people to kind
myself.
of
Yeah,
sink in and internalize.
yeah,
9/10 of the planet are non-white, and even if
yeah.
you look at America, again, we are the majority. Even if we are the minority, because we got the key. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
I don't even see how. I mean, and again, when you look at, and I don't want to get like political and all of this stuff like that, because we want
Yeah,
to stay on topic here, but we have to, and I'm sure we'll get into this in future talks or whatever. But when you
yeah.
look at these rates of abortion, and
Mm.
homelessness, and like disease and all of these things, they affect these quote unquote minority communities, overwhelmingly more than anybody else and shit. And this is going back to this thing of melanin. I really truly know that at this point.
Yeah.
I always wonder what is it about us, what I'm saying, that made
Hmm.
them go out in fucking June 18th, 1452 from Europe with these edicts of the Dominant verses, okay? From
Yeah.
June 1452, June 18th to June like 18, 1492. This is the period of time that they cemented what we call colonization right now. And by edict, they said go out. So all of these lands of the Saracens is what they called us. You know what I'm saying? That was the
Hmm.
name that they gave for the original people, but not just the original people, a certain type of original people that actually kept the code of the creation and shit. You know what I'm saying? Go out to these fucking places, subdue them, step on their necks, take their lands, their
Yeah.
names, their everything perpetually. This is what was
Yeah.
coded into law. Okay?
Wow.
You know what I'm
Crazy,
saying?
bro.
So this is what they did to the people, the keepers of the planet. It was an organized, structured annihilation and like a humanization of these keepers of the fucking code and shit. So I asked myself, why is it? What is it about this fucking black skin, this melanated skin, right? Vanilla, brown, all these fucking colors in between on all these
Mm.
different shores and shit that they had to go out and annihilate these people. What is it about that?
Mm.
And the only thing that comes clear to me is that the reason why this melanin is important is because it holds all the information to everything, past,
Mm.
present, and future,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
So clearly, the most melanated people on the fucking planet, there's no fucking coincidence that the most melanated people on the planet are the most persecuted globally, period. And this is not a
Mm.
race thing. I'm talking about your fucking melanin, okay? Forget
Yeah.
about race. Look at every single land where you see the most melanated people and look at what's going on over there. The shit is no accident.
It's
You know
almost
what I'm
like
saying?
in a yeah, yeah. It's such a polarizing. It's such an obvious correlation. That's crazy.
And also, let me say this real quick as well while we're on this topic. COINTELPRO. You know about COINTELPRO, right?
That sounds familiar, but I can't recall, to be
Okay,
honest.
so J. Edgar Hoover, this
Mm,
was his baby back like in the 50s and 60s. He came up with this COINTELPRO, and the mission statement for COINTELPRO was to prevent the rise of the next Black Messiah. This is
mm,
their own fucking words, bro. You know what I'm saying? This is all like, open record at this point. This is what.
yeah.
So during the time of COINTELPRO, you had the Black Panther members, Huey P. Newton, your man's out of Chicago, like all of these Black Panthers, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like you had all this murder and destruction of Black quote unquote leaders during the rise of COINTELPRO. From then to now, COINTELPRO is the reason why Biggie and Pac ain't with us right now. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? This is COINTELPRO. So even they have like in this system of quote unquote racism and white supremacy, right? They have encoded in the system the laws, the progression of societies. Everything is moved right to prevent us, the melanated ones, from rising up. But rising up to what? What are they so afraid of? You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah. You know what's crazy? And again, like you said, not to make it political, but a lot of this has been on my mind because of the Supreme Court nomination. I don't know if you caught any of that. I don't know if you're following the U.S. I know you're in Australia.
I mean, I
Um,
heard they got a black lady up there now.
yeah, and I know, especially after listening to Rod Hayes, that there's different perspectives on government, but just from a practical standpoint, like it was crazy to me the types of questions and the type of angles that some of these people were coming at her with was, man, bro, like I almost cried, bro. Like me, yeah. But anyways, I don't want to dive too much into it because honestly, I don't know much about her. I should know more about her, and I want to research more about her. But from a surface level, it was crazy, bro. It was crazy.
Yeah, right.
The way
So
they were coming at her, and I'm just like, man, this is from what I can tell. Like, obviously, I don't know her record. I want to know more about her before I can speak on her character too much. But just from a first impression, I'm like, yo, this is a strong, beautiful person. Like, why all this funny business? Why all these weird angles? Like, and this is the last thing I'll say about it, but like, why did Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement and all that even need to come up in this congressional hearing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why did that angle even need to be brought up in here when she's never, from what I could tell, from what I heard, she's never been in cases that involve civil rights.
yeah,
Do you get what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah. Of
Like
course, of
why they
course.
kept bringing in that angle? It's like, man,
But
uh,
that's the system,
yeah,
and
yeah,
another great scholar from the community, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She's ascended. She wrote the book, the ISIS paper. She's another psychologist by trade.
mhm,
If you guys go look up the ISIS paper, and she kind of she explains and defines the system that we're under. And whether you agree with her, the reason that she gives why the system is, we all know that that shit is there, you know. But yeah, like you said, I mean, we don't want to politicize like something as pure as these
yeah,
essential mechanics that
yeah,
ultimately that's what we're really about. But unfortunately,
yeah,
as above, so below. So there's a
yeah,
balance to this shit. We have to bring light to these things so people can have awareness and understand that there's a game that's being played. Are you going to rise above it, or are you going to play the game on that level down there?
yeah. And I mean, I want all of us to ascend. I can't just want it for me. So to me, I feel like there has to be a sort of universal and consciousness, like awakening with all of us. And like,
Definitely.
not to get too woo woo, but do you feel? I mean, it's easy to feel this way, I think, because especially if you're in tune with the news and everything going on, to feel like we're kind of, and everything that's happened in the past couple of years, to feel like we're at this monumental like pivot point. From a worldly perspective to an ascension and like stargates aligning and all these different things. Like
I
it
do.
feels like we're in a like a pivot point. Do you feel that way?
I do.
Yeah.
I do definitely. And just like what you were saying earlier, I mean, and again, like I know that is definitely not an ego thing with me, like because
Mm-hmm.
these are these thoughts that I've been having and experiences from a child, where you were referring to just like how you feel like you're just, you were kind of put here, to protect a certain frequency, you know what I'm saying? And I call it, like, whatever that God vibration, or like, like the laws of nature, the natural progression and shit. You know what I'm saying? This is the way to ascension. We have to understand, that we're not actually this life that we're living. You were actually remote controlling this shit from infinite other fucking places, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about ascension mechanics, and whenever we're having the discussion of melanin, those things go hand in hand. Because I feel like this is actually like the doorway. Because think about this, right? How melanin works. You have the pineal gland.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the more melanin you have, the more, I'm sorry, the darker your skin, and the darker your skin, the more melanin that you produce naturally. During the daytime, you produce um, melatonin. All
Mm-hmm.
right, the first 12 hours. During the night, you produce serotonin. Both of
Mm-hmm.
those are different, like qualities of melanin and shit. So we have like these melanocytes.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a melanocyte is like a battery. And if you ever like, lifted up your car, if your battery ever going dead and you paid any attention, right, you see that there's actual blocks of battery cells within that make up the entire battery. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is how melanocytes work. Let's say if there was 24 battery cells that compose an entire battery. Melanocytes will be those 24 cells that can compose um like your melanin capability. If you are a nine ether being, you have, whether you're, again, we're not talking about good, bad, right or wrong, and none of that shit, right? If you are a nine ether being, all 24 of those cells are functioning, fully functioning, right? If you are not a nine ether being, then you maybe have like two or three of those cells functioning, but the cells are there, right? It's not like you don't have them, that you can't activate them. They're actually there, but you actually have work to do on a conscious level, on a karmic level, in order to
Fire.
attain the rest of those cells and shit. So if you don't do this shit now, you're gonna do this shit later. You have to go through the realm of blackness in order to reach the depths of the Most High, from my perspective. I hope that shit makes sense.
Yeah, no, that was fire, bro. That's 100%. And you spoke about something that I think about a lot, which is like your karma. And I think a lot of people get hung up on that, on like their karmic debt, and they don't realize that. Like, I think people are waiting for the karma to happen to them when they don't realize it's happening in this very moment with them, not to them. It's you. It's you that
Yeah,
has to process it. And I think a lot we get caught up in this life cycle and this loop cycle of waiting for the karma to come for us. But that's the karma. Like that's that right there is what you need to address and heal in order to sort of resolve that and continue on the ascension process, if that makes sense.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm just
So like,
ripping, but
karma is created by thoughts,
mm,
and those actions derived from the thought and stuff like that. And
mm,
again, we just want to make clear as well, good and bad, right and wrong, up or down, those are like superficial indicators that we use to try to captivate or explain our reality. But if it's not absolutely true by nature, then it's not true at all. So
mm,
what I'm saying is, what's good to me may not be good to you, and vice versa, whatever. So how can we use that as a unit of measure for these essential mechanics? You know what I'm saying?
mm. Yeah, yeah, That's
So, you know, my
that's
point is like I think people need to deal more with these universal principles, you know,
oh
like
yeah,
these
yeah.
laws
I
of
see what you're
nature and
saying.
stuff like that that are
Yeah,
absolute, regardless of what I think or what you think or whatever. We know that the law of
yeah,
vibration is
yeah,
absolute. Everything is exists,
yeah,
everything is in motion, nothing is at rest.
yeah. So you're basically saying that even though we are having individual experiences, there are sort of laws and guidelines that are universal that apply to all of us to help us through the process, no matter what it looks like to us. Is basically what you're
100%.
saying. Yeah,
Yep. So
that's
that's the
dope,
to me
bro.
that's the
That's
frame that's
dope.
the framework of ascension mechanics, right?
That dope. Yeah, that right there helps you skip the bullshit, right? Um, because if you can apply the template, um, the blueprint to your foundation, um, it'll help you. It'll help you. It's a direct path to processing your own individuality. Yeah, yeah, that's dope.
Definitely.
Yeah,
And it is a even though we're collective and shit, you know, we're having an individual experience at the same time. Like,
mm,
but the experience with ourself, you know,
mm,
like I think it's like, you know, my experiences with me and the deeper, higher, lower aspects of me, like all, you know, 360 degrees and shit like that. And I don't see no
mm,
separation. I just like meditate every day, you know what I'm saying, to be more connected and to
mm,
understand like every breath, you know what I'm saying? Like I know from one breath to the next because it's happened to me before. My
mm,
mind has literally changed from one inhale to exhale. I have fucking gain knowledge and wisdom, you know, beyond like a linear fucking time frame. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? And this is how this shit works, you know. It's just about understanding and staying and maintaining the framework by any means necessary. And the universe will bend, or you will bend to yourself and shit, so to speak.
mm. Wow, that's dope, bro. Powerful. So you still there, man?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did I mute you or you mute yourself? You muted
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I'm muted.
Oh, okay, cool. So make sure it's not something I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, so when we look at so like I got this art on the screen. Like, how do you tie? Because this is like the stuff that I see in just my everyday, like imagination, thought process, visualization. Like, how do you tie in? Like, I'm always trying to like find an explanation or find the nature, the law that you speak of in these photos. Does that make sense?
Yep. 100% complete sense.
Yeah.
They're always there, right? So I
Mm,
think the last stream that we did on my channel,
mm,
um I think I broke down universal law and I can't remember what we were comparing it to, but anyway, right? So these seven
mm,
universal principles, right? The law of vibration,
mm,
the law of gender, the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, the law of rhythm, um the law of polarity, and to me the most important, the law of mentalism. That is the playbook for ascension. Like if you every single one of those principles, and they're not separate but they're separate but they work in unison for infinite dimensions and infinite, you know, geometries of infinite, you know, creations and shit. This is how it works. This is how literally the universe and the multiverse was fucking created. And this is how, and what I'm saying right now, again, clearly nobody can take my word for this, but this is how the universe, God, me, I communicated with me so that I could understand on this realm why, how, and all of this shit. It was geometry, literally, just how you're showing this on the screen and shit. Not,
mm,
I mean, minus all like the figures and stuff like that. It was just pure geometry, you know, just
mm,
shapes and, you know, just like literally creating how can you say, like time machines and shit like that, you know. From a child, I've done this when I was sober as a child, growing up as a child. and when I started to do psychedelics, in my teenage years or whatever. The only difference is, as I grew more in my understanding, and once I realized this thing that I used to see every day as a child, and it just kind of got farther away as I became older. You know what I'm saying? Became more indoctrinated into the system. When I did psychedelics, it brought that aspect back, just like in real time, like when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So what I
Right.
realized that these were actually this geometry is our portals, our spaceships for fucking
Mm-hmm.
ascension. You got these cats trying to fucking go to Mars and Saturn and all this dumb shit like that. That shit is folly. The only way to get to where you need to go is to ascend through these mechanics of this geometry. I am sure
Mm.
when every person leaves this place, amongst the many things that they see, the last thing they see before the blackness and after the blackness is some form of geometry, which is like the womb that they're in, that's
Mm.
carrying them to the next dimensions and shit.
Wow, that's fire. Oh,
So that book that I sent you, right? Like
yeah,
I've had that since, like, I have a copy, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
but I've had that in my possession since like the late 90s, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Wow.
not something, as you know, it's like a steady fucking manual, you know what I'm saying? Because as you grow and you're knowing and you're understanding, the lessons kind of expand like a flower and bloom, and they begin to grow branches and shit. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So I've read certain chapters and certain paragraphs a million times, and every time I read them, you know what I'm saying, they kind of
Mm.
have, grow out more from the base understanding that I originally had and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. That's powerful, man. Damn, bro. I'm just soaking it in, and I'm looking at these pictures, and I'm just thinking like, why, based on everything you said there, this might be something you don't have the answer to, but I'm sure you have a perspective on, like, why, aside from the fact that they try to hide it, and this is powerful stuff, and this could elevate, human beings' consciousness, and actually just be super powerful. Like, why do you think some of this stuff is not mainstream? Like, like,
Um,
yeah,
Clearly they don't want us to ascend.
yeah,
They don't want us to ascend. They don't want us to tap into that Christ awareness. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
They're trying to keep us
mm,
bound to these frequencies and shit.
yeah,
That's why. But they communicate amongst themselves with this esoteric language, this hidden language and shit. Everything they do, all of their Fortune 500 companies, look at their fucking logos. All of it is geometry. All of it,
mm,
unless it's an animal like a bull or a lion, and then that has esoteric meanings as well. You know what I'm saying? So they
mm,
always communicate amongst themselves with all of these esoteric tools like geometry, like numbers, like colors. You know what I'm saying? All of these are tools, esoteric tools that they use to present certain frequencies. So when you see a logo of a Fortune 500 company,
mm,
nothing is by chance. Like the color, the design, the imagery, everything they've done in accordance with these universal laws to
mm,
extract the type of frequencies that they're looking to gain from this particular energy vector. You know what
mm,
I'm saying?
yeah, mm. No, that's dead on, and that's, I don't know how much you follow Kanye, but it almost seems like that's what he's been trying to like scream, and why he's trying to create his own um, communication, because it seems like he's always talking about, no matter how big he is, no matter how like massive, and how much influence and how much popularity he gets, like he cannot have these conversations with these bigger companies, um, and it's like, because he's not speaking their language, kind of like you said, he's not speaking their specific, he wants to raise this frequency, and they're like, nah, bro, I don't care how big you get, you're not doing that over here, um, which is interesting. So
Yes.
this is where it ties back to like RH, and like to Richard Hart, where I feel like maybe he would convey it in a different way or see it in a different way. But this is sort of what he's helping us do, is create our own language and be able to rise above the quote unquote oppression of their language and their symbolism and their geometry. Um,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting.
And I don't even know if RH even. It's funny you're saying this about RH because I've often wondered because I've put this on wax several times. You know, I've
Yeah.
straight up said on wax that the reason why this product Hex gets so much pushback from its inception to now is because it is like, again, it's like essential mechanics type shit. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
yeah.
It's all of these laws I'm talking about. And again,
Yeah.
I've done like fucking hours of fucking like tape on this on my channel and shit where I'm
Mm,
breaking this shit down literally. All these laws that I'm talking about, you know, balance, reciprocity, you know what I'm saying? Gender, polarity, you know what I'm saying? All of these things are wrapped up into this fucking code of hex. This is
mm,
why it works like it does. And as soon as the mainstream saw that, they knew that they couldn't have anything to do with that shit because it
mm,
was actually offering people freedom, but not only offering people freedom, it forced you to tap into the higher aspects of your
mm.
nature. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because it's about delaying
100.
gratification, you know what I'm saying? Forward planning, you know, and all of these things, you know, and then just the whole concept of like each one teach one. All of
Mm,
these things is inside of Hex and you see it. You know what I'm saying? This is not just talk. You're seeing people like giving what they fucking your boy what's his name? My Life is Awesome. That
mm.
channel. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Fucking he just got his house paid for 300K, two Hexicans
Yeah. That
fucking
was crazy.
flip the
That
bill
was
on that
crazy.
shit. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that happens all the time in this particular community. So that seed level frequency, which is the hex code, you know what I'm saying? Look at what is done to the fucking community. Clearly, you know,
Mm,
that's family fighting and fighting all this stuff like that or whatever. But if you look
yeah.
at the whole of what this community is compared to other crypto communities and stuff like that, and how tight and how much we care about every little thing and shit,
Yeah.
is very unique.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
definitely can agree how you're making that correlation to, you know,
Yeah. And
what
sometimes,
RH gave us.
yeah. And sometimes, going back to like having doubts, like maybe he just knew that he could tap into our frequency and we'd all follow like suckers. Going back to having doubts, but I'm just playing devil's advocate because
I know, right?
it's fun. But
I'm sure all of that was a part of that Kool-Aid, son. All that was part of the
yeah,
formula for sure.
yeah, and he actually says it straight up because that's a way to attract more of us. Yeah, it's interesting. The
Yeah,
game
but have you
theory.
noticed how they've changed up the hex.com webpage as well?
Yeah, I did notice that.
They've like matured it up and shit. Now look like, you
Mm,
know, it looks like at first it was wearing like a fucking a poncho, a beanie, you know what I'm saying, and some
mm,
fucking surfer shorts and shit. Right now,
yeah,
like, you know, got on like some nice slacks and a button up,
yeah,
you know, whatever and shit. So that's
yeah,
progression as well, you know. So
yeah,
I think he has progressed with this because even he'll say as well, there's aspects of what's happened that he could have never imagined. You know what I'm saying? Even in all of his
yeah,
game theory and stuff like that, there's things that have happened with the community and
yeah.
with Hex itself that he could have never even, you know, imagined for
It's
the better,
crazy.
of course.
So
So,
he's almost like just like a conduit um, for this higher frequency.
yep,
Um, and it's interesting because he talks all the time about how he grew up um, with, or he went to school with a lot of, um,
black,
yeah,
like smart black kids in
yeah,
Miami.
yeah. So it's
Yep.
interesting, like some of that melanin that your frequency you're talking about maybe rubbed off on him.
Clearly, bruh.
Uh,
Clearly.
yeah,
You know, this is one thing that I really respect about Richard Hart.
yeah,
He ain't afraid to let every motherfucker know that. I've
yeah,
heard him say it so many times. Even
yeah.
there was a point, I think I told you about this. He did this interview with the gentleman of crypto, and one of the boys, Bitcoin Zay, is from Miami, I think.
Hmm.
But I noticed immediately that he got into his like, you know, his homeboy bag and shit. You know, he started
Hmm.
talking all slang and shit like that or
Yeah, I
whatever.
remember that. I remember that when I saw that one.
And you know, he even said he's like, bro, this is who I like. When you talk to me normally, this is who I am. I have to bring myself to this what you guys hear from me now. But I grew up around a bunch of fucking niggas, basically, is what he's saying and shit, right? And
Yeah,
he's like, yo, the smartest people are fucking, he say Jews and fucking like these motherfuckers that I went to school with. I heard him say that shit so many times and shit. So
yeah, yeah,
I respect him for that shit, bro. Like I respect him, for the code more than anything, and like the thought
yeah.
process that had to go behind creating something like that. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
bro, yeah, that's why I think it's like a conduit. That's why he's like, whoa, I don't even know how I downloaded this. I don't even know where this stream came from. Um, yeah, this is trippy shit, bro. But yo, I'm looking at this picture that's on the screen. Can you see it?
I'm looking at it. Yeah,
Where like what I see is sort of it looks like the ocean to me, and what I
yeah.
see is the sky. What I would perceive to be the sky looks like almost like planet Earth, and what I would perceive to be below the water, the ocean, almost looks like space. And this brings me to the idea that people have been throwing around that like, I mean, we could go back to Atlantis and all this stuff, but like the idea that it's like an alien world in a whole nother universe under the water in the ocean. Like, have you dove into any of those theories or concepts?
Um. Well, yes, but so when I was in Miami, because I used to live in Miami before I moved over here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to work at this pharmaceutical company at all of all the places I could have ever worked. Needless to say, that shit didn't last for long. I worked there long enough to get a 2 week vacation and never went back to that bitch. But I digress.
Yeah.
This Puerto Rican auntie that I used to work with, her name was Lily, and I love this fucking lady, man. She was
Mm-hmm.
just love oozing off her, and she'd been through a lot. You know what I'm saying, taking care of grandkids and all of that.
Yeah.
And something about just generally I historically people just tend to tell me shit that they've never said to anybody else before in life, even over
Mm-hmm.
here. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So we're in this one room and shit, cooking up some poison, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, because I don't know how we started talking about this, but I know I didn't initiate the conversation and shit. It's like she must have just read something off me that I was into this type of shit, and she starts telling me that when she was a kid in Puerto Rico, every like periodical of time they would go up to this one spot on the mountaintop. Her uncle
Mm-hmm.
was like a leader. She didn't say shaman, but clearly that's what it sounded like to me. She said that they would basically embark in this type of like meditation ritual with the drums and shit, and they would literally call these fucking aliens forth. You know what I'm saying? Spaceships will come. You know what I'm saying? They will pop out, communicate with them, tell them all of this shit, blah blah blah, and bounce. And
Mm-hmm.
they can do this shit like on tap and shit. You know what I'm saying? She grew up with this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she said that they came from the fucking water, dude.
Wow.
That's because that's the first time I ever heard, like clearly I've heard of like ET and shit, but that was like the
Yeah.
first time I'm sure that I've heard, like, especially someone telling me mouth to mouth and shit, eye to eye, that they would come from the fucking water, just shoof, like no sound, no nothing. Like you wouldn't even like no ripple or nothing. They would just be there, like boom.
Wow.
And again, like
Wow.
I never spoke to her about no ET shit, about nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? We just would have like casual conversation and stuff like that. And she felt inclined
Wow.
to tell me that story. So clearly from there, I've seen, all kinds of top secret whistleblower stuff, whatever, that talk about this entire life underneath the ocean. I was actually just watching something in the past week,
Yeah.
what they were saying that a certain part of maybe in the Atlantic,
Mm-hmm.
um, that was basically off limits. Like they don't ships don't go by there. They don't go underneath there, like below there. They don't fuck with this area at all. And apparently, first time they tried to do research in this area, like they got scared off and like they never came back and shit. Like the U.S. military. Um. So yeah, I mean, I think all of that shit is possible for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just fascinating to me, right? I don't have much insight on it, but it's just fascinating.
But
Um,
have you seen the Tic Tac videos?
yeah, I have seen those. Yeah, I have seen
So
those. It's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy,
Oh, this
bro.
is trippy right here. That looks like
Yeah,
a heart cavity or something, and the
yeah,
chakras. chakra centers.
Mm, mm, like a
And also
like
like the different levels of your chakras and shit, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
you got the inner level, which is probably like the most powerful, the
yeah,
strongest.
yeah,
And then you got these outward frequencies that, have to be conditioned to, third
yeah,
density and shit.
yeah. And each layer needs its own code and its own blueprint that needs to be
Yeah,
healed in order to get to each. It's it's ascension mechanics basically drawn out
exactly.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
interoperable.
dope.
And
Yeah,
and we have more than seven chakras, by the way, as well for the people.
yeah.
And
From
again, this is another hidden esoteric fact that will be good for people to fucking know, because
mm,
we really think that we are grounded to this place. That's why we all look forward to this death thing, or we fear death.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? But I think I've told you this before. Like, I don't even see death like that. I really know that I didn't come here to die. I really
yeah,
do. I came here to ascend, like with full
mm,
consciousness and awareness or whatever. This is
mm,
our destiny. This is who we are. There can be no other way. You can pray, you can talk all of this God shit you want, but until
yeah,
motherfuckers understand what we talking about with this ascension mechanics and what that entails, and it's not like we're masters of this shit, but we both know because we have I feel like we all go through these certain particular points in our time in our lives that are very pivotal. Like either we're gonna listen to this voice in our head, our consciousness, i.e., intuition, i.e., our higher selves and shit, or we're going to not listen and suffer the consequences, like throughout the destiny of our lives and shit. You know, so I just feel like
mm,
we've actually listened to this voice that has driven us towards these type of formulas in order to
mm,
get us, like, specifically, you know what I'm saying, to get like without all the bullshit, with all the superstition and hype and ritual and all of this shit like that, except for
mm,
the rituals that we create based on the framework, right?
mm,
This is what we're talking about. So again, the universe speaks to everybody differently. It's easy for us,
yeah,
or I guess it's easier for us than like a
yeah,
mundane like individual to talk about these things or whatever. But
mm,
I don't dream, right? Like I dream, but I rarely remember my dream. But I have daydreams that are just as real. You know what I'm saying?
word,
So maybe
word,
the universe speaks to the next motherfucker with dreams, or
yeah,
whatever it is. But you
yeah,
have to find your channel to
mm,
infinity, like we all do. I'm not saying
yeah,
you, I'm saying like you, like all of us and shit,
yeah, like
right?
all of us,
We
yeah.
have to tune into our own individual personal channel to foreverness, yo, for real.
Wow, that's powerful, bro. That's powerful, man. I feel like we could dive so much deeper into some of the stuff. Um, damn, this art is crazy, bro. This shit
Yeah, that's
always
super
trips me
dope.
out, man, because it's like this came from the mind. This was a thought. This was a visualization from somebody's mind. Um,
Yeah, yo, that's real,
yeah,
because I'm telling you, man, like when I was a kid, bro, like I'm telling you, every single time I would be out in the sun, I
yeah,
would just look up and first I would see like these little floating like dust, like light particles and shit. Like, look,
mm,
you know how whenever you walk into a room at like 3 or 4 o'clock and the blinds are kind of like half open, half closed, and you can see through the sunlight all the shit in
yeah,
the room and stuff like that.
mm, mm,
That's what I always saw, except for they were like photon little lights and shit floating all around me. And all of
wow,
a sudden, out of nowhere, these motherfuckers just start turning into fucking geometry and connecting and just doing all kinds of crazy shit.
shit,
And I would leave myself, like literally leave myself. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
So I completely, like, I feel this shit so much deep into my bones and shit is crazy.
yeah,
And
yeah,
even like just experiences that I've had, like I feel like, I always think about, once I get time and like, resources, this is something that I want to like show people, like these
yeah,
experiences that I actually went through, like through art form and stuff like that, through media, film and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So people can actually make that connection and shit. Because to me, painting pictures like mean everything. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? If you can clearly paint a picture that somebody can internalize, then you just planted a seed.
no, and it's trippy to me because most people don't have that experience, right? Or at least that's my interpretation of the way, like the term you used was mundane person,
Yeah,
and not that I'm outside of that, but for some reason when you say that, like I don't think, oh, that's a weird thought or I can't envision it. It resonates with me,
yeah,
and to me that's trippy. Like if everybody's walking around with these visions, these thoughts, this imagination, this visualization, then maybe we're just all afraid to express it. But from my experience, I don't believe that everybody has these experiences, which is essentially what I've been trying to figure out my whole life. Like, what is this?
yeah. You and me both, bro. Like, I mean, I know. I got the key. I
Yeah,
know that for sure. The
yeah,
key is we progress through the laws of nature. That's the fucking
mm,
key. We
mm,
progress through being pro-creators. That's the fucking key. You know what I'm saying? For
wow,
sure. Like, forget about all of this, like you say, like all this woo woo shit that we've been talking. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like straight up, and again, when I say mundane, again, I don't deal in good and bad. I'm saying
yeah,
about like mundane, meaning like normal, everyday. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, boom
mm,
type of stuff. People are not having these type thoughts normally
yeah,
in your mundane reality and shit. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
But again, people have other thoughts. I'm sure of it. Like you can go find like the whoever you may consider to be the worst, deplorable, outcast type of person, and at some point in their life, if you can just reel back their memory and look at that shit, you will see certain points of their life again, these pivotal points where we go this way or that way and everything changes one way or the other. We all have them shits. I'm sure of it. Why else would we be here? If you have a soul. If you don't have a soul, then you're
mm,
dealing with some other shit. And that's a whole nother
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. That gets deeper, I think, into like what Rod Hayes was talking about.
Yeah.
Huh, crazy.
Yeah, but based on this one in the bottom left, can you blow that up or no?
Which one? This one? This what you
Uh the one to the left of the lady.
Let me see what you're looking at. Oh, okay. You're looking at that view. This one here.
Looks like a mandala.
Let me see if like these type right here. Uh, or this one. Is this what you're talking about?
I can't see anything pulled up, and I don't see your cursor either.
Let me see. Share this tab instead. How do you see it?
Yeah.
That's a
Yep.
joint.
It's like a tie dye type of panel. So in India,
Yeah.
speaking of geometry,
Mm,
every year in the south, there's one place in the south of India, they have this Kolam festival, which
mm.
columns are basically they draw all of these geometries by hand, like
Wow,
intricate geometrical patterns by hand. This shit is it's amazing, and they've been doing this shit for they say like hundreds of years, but clearly this is like goes back to, the Indus Valley civilization and all of that shit.
bro. There's so much communication happening through this picture right here.
Yeah, what are you
It's
seeing?
it's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like mathematical codes,
Yes. Yep.
like um, like like in here. I can't quite read it. I can just feel it. But
Yep.
in this geometry, there's ascension mechanics like
Yep.
written into its expression and into the the geometry of it, the shape of it, the shapes of it,
Yep. The geometry, the colors.
and the artist's soul is encoded.
Yep.
His stream of consciousness was downloaded into this picture, which is like a blueprint for us. And sometimes you don't. I feel you don't need to be able to read it or understand it. but if you're open to it genetically, it can help you, and you can. That's why I say I feel it more than I can understand it.
Exactly, because
Yeah,
remember, like the purest communication is symbology through
yeah.
symbols.
Well, this shit's tripping me out, bro. It's just so dope.
Yeah, that is intense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wow.
So
Who is
yeah, I
this
mean,
dude?
like, just having that type stuff,
That's a
I've always
dope.
been attracted to that type of, artwork and, these crazy geometrical patterns, and I see them everywhere and everything. It's kind of annoying at times, but it is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
I can tell you just from like being around like an assortment of people throughout my life and shit, like this shit ain't for everybody. Like motherfuckers looking at you like, what?
Yeah. I don't give a shit, bro.
I know.
I my whole life I've given too much of a shit, and I just don't give a shit anymore. Um, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're
I
saying. Shout
pretty
out
much
to
lean. It's not that I didn't give a shit. I just didn't. I don't know if I didn't care or I wasn't aware. Well, I definitely didn't care, but I think mostly I wasn't aware. So
yeah.
like I always think about my senior year of high school. They give like the senior superlatives or whatever,
Hmm.
and I got voted the most unique.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that shit, it really tripped me the fuck out because
Mm.
I did not realize that motherfucker was like literally noticing me just for being me, dude. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
was so weird to me. Like I'm thinking, oh, okay, so there's an award for just being yourself. That shit is fucking crazy, but thank you. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
feel
yeah,
you,
like
bro.
I mean, it's definitely difficult in a world that like has all these kind of crazy rules and restrictions, and they're always
Hmm.
changing that you're supposed to adhere to actually be yourself. And we, like again, nobody can do that shit all the time, but you actually can. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, I have to compromise certain aspects of shit, but when I say compromise, meaning maybe I'm like having a conversation with someone that I know, what I'm saying, that maybe is like a disagreeable type of entity and shit, like a disagreeable energy. But again, because I don't see good, bad, right, or wrong, or whatever, I'm
Hmm.
up to have this fucking dialogue. I'm up to have this exchange or whatever it may be and shit because I know that there's always like communication going on higher levels and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure, bro. That's
So as a
wild.
contractor, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've worked with other contractors, people that I know had different worldviews than me and shit. But whenever I'm in their presence and shit, they can't even be that way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like it's like whatever I got going on over here just doesn't even allow them to fucking even go through into that shit. Generally speaking, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I've experienced that quite a lot as well. I mean, I experienced some people that are just straight assholes as well. Don't get it wrong, but
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's been my experience a lot. Like people just downplaying you and or downplaying me. But like I don't know, it's the condition is so shitty sometimes that we're so caught up in these minute 3D survival things
yeah.
that we can't even take a second to just open our universal mind up to catch a glimpse of this frequency. It's crazy.
Yes, you just said something else. I think is interesting. We're gonna have to
Yeah,
maybe home in on that as well. You said like these survival. I don't know if you said
yeah,
survival tactics, but in my head I was thinking, okay, so you have ascension mechanics and you got survival mechanics. Both of
yeah.
those are real. You know what I'm saying? But it,
Hmm.
it seems like the survival mechanics are the real shit, right?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we get caught up in our five senses, and we get in this quote unquote survival mode, which to me I never consider myself a survivor. I don't
Hmm.
feel like I'm surviving anything. If I'm living my life, you know what I'm saying, regardless of whatever my five senses may be telling me or experiencing this shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm living my life. And that's a big
Hmm.
difference.
That's dope, bro. Yeah, I
So
think yeah, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, when I say that, I think about myself too, because sometimes I there's a period in my life, up until recent, I would say, where I kind of had to close off the channels or the streams of consciousness in order to be able to focus on the survival stuff, like you were saying. And it was such a disservice to myself, and it really put me in a really, really dark place. Because even though I wasn't paying attention to it, it was always there. So it was like neglecting my karmic healing, neglecting my ascension work, just to like focus on the little minute day-to-day shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely,
That's
100.
crazy. That's
Yep.
crazy.
I mean, I think we all go through that on some levels, but I just think it's
Yeah.
just awareness. Again, to me, it's that level of connectedness. I think we all have different degrees of that particular thought. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's just based on what level of that thought you're on that will determine the outcome and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like for me, I think we're kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It, like survival mechanics and shit seems like that's just a way of life and shit, but that's a state of mind, and that creates a certain picture that generates a certain frequency and shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
easier said than done for sure, but I've been up and I've been down as far as my five
Mm.
senses and shit. I've
Yeah.
experienced like all of this shit or whatever, but I've always been the same. You know what I'm saying? I've been
Mm.
humble. When I've been up, I've been humble. When I've been down, I've been an
Mm.
asshole. When I've been up, I've been an asshole. When I've been down, you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but like I'm saying, whatever my nature is, like it's always been. It doesn't vary. If I'm fucking
Mm.
broken shit, that doesn't give me a reason to fucking act out a certain way. If I'm understanding and knowing that I'm God body and shit, right?
Yeah.
And the same if I got all of this fucking material shit or whatever the fuck, that's no
Yeah.
excuse for me to
That's
act out
fire.
of like, when I'm talking about these progressions of the most high, like this
Mm.
natural framework and shit, you know what I'm saying? To me,
Mm.
like that's the balance and shit for me, especially being a Libra.
That's dope, bro. I like how you broke that down. So this is probably the last final thought I'll leave it on. So like
Yeah.
it as we're saying this stuff, and I'm thinking about like what I just said and what you just said, and we're talking about like ascending, sometimes it feels like this biological physical body is an anchor. And the thought I had was like, do you feel like this physical body in this 3D is a part of the whole process? Is that why we can't just bounce? Like, what I think this goes back to what Rod Hayes was talking about, but like what needs to be like, why are we like, what's the point of this physical biological body if we're so much more than it? And why are we fighting to bring our higher frequencies, our higher dimensions, our Christ consciousness down into this 3D? And I guess the answer to that from my perspective would probably be because we need to heal this 3D first in order to move vertically. But yeah, what's your thought process on that?
Yeah, there have been times, when based on my nature and basically everything that we talked about, like coming from my particular disposition, where I may have gotten, frustrated, but I think that's too strong of a word.
Yeah.
Like I am an eternal optimist by nature about a lot of things,
Mm.
even though I have a Virgo moon,
Same.
which allows me to be uh heavily like scrutinizing mostly myself and shit, right?
Mm.
But generally, I'm a perpetual optimist and shit, and like there's very few times where I don't see a formula. Like my like actually I won't even say that out loud, but
Mm.
so when those times where I don't see a formula, something similar to frustration kicks in, but then that just forces me to go back to zero.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And really just stop looking and stop doing and just fucking be. because that's the gold right there, So I feel like, that it just comes from, like I said, like I know because I've had these thoughts from as long as I can remember about ascending, like why am I
Mm,
here? You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah, what's life, what's death, and all this stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So
mm,
once it was made clear to me at a very, very young age and shit that this is what my life was going to be about,
mm.
you know what I'm saying? Like it just came very important that I just understood these things like universal law and stuff like that, which didn't come until much later. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So when I understood, okay, this is how I am forever, and this is the framework which allows me to transcend from pace through quote unquote space and time, right here,
mm,
right now, without like physically dying and all this stuff like that. I just became like my whole life, from 20, basically 22, a day after my 21st, 22nd birthday, you know what I'm saying, until now. It's like that's what my life has been about. So I feel like I
mm.
chose to come here. Like nobody, forced me to
Yeah,
come here. I chose to come here and take part in this, and that's why I resonate so much with what you said earlier. And I'm just paraphrasing when you were talking about like this fight. You know what I'm saying? Like this
mm,
this this battle for fucking frequency and shit like that. You know what I'm saying, or whatever.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel like I'm built for this shit. I came here. I chose to be here. I'm gonna
yeah,
fucking let everybody know why I'm here at least, and why I
yeah,
think that we're here. And again, it's all about this ascension shit or whatever. So no, understanding that, I think we both feel like a very clear that we're put here to ascend and shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I'm like, yo, I think that kind of gives me the ultimate salvation or whatever, to know that I'm already everywhere any fucking way. I just got to figure this fucking puzzle out. And that can be kind of
mm,
frustrating at times if I get grounded into this shit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. No, for sure. That's man. I love the way you put shit, man. You put it so well, bro.
I
I love
appreciate
it.
it, man. That's so
I
funny you
love
say
it,
that. I
man.
told you, like
Yeah,
when I'm talking, it's funny because we had this conversation the other day. I think behind the scenes,
yeah.
but like whenever I'm talking, just like how I'm talking, it's all my Virgo moon and shit. Which
Mm,
again, this is my critical part of my nature and shit. So I always feel like I'm not even like communicating like what the fuck I'm thinking properly. It's crazy. It's so funny. And then you turn around and
yeah,
tell me this shit. But people tell me this shit all the time as well. And I just
yeah,
think like, yo, that's so, and this is another thing, like how we see ourselves versus how other people see us and shit as well. It's crazy,
yeah,
yo. But
yeah.
because
No.
I mean, even
Good.
like with you and shit, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you say something and just this picture comes in my mind and shit. Like this has happened a
Yeah,
million times when we've been talking and shit. And I'm
yeah,
like, oh fuck. And I clearly, like, as soon as you fucking say it, like the picture comes and I like you relay this shit, like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like a,
yeah,
a,
yeah,
a pill or something. I can't even explain it, but
yeah. That's
um
fire, bro.
yeah, yo. So I know what you're saying about that, and I know you've said the similar things about like just, I don't know if it's just like a humbleness thing or just like maybe that's part of like the formula for like ascension and shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I know I've
Yeah,
I've heard you kind of talk in the same way. Where I'm telling you, yo, that shit is like, all the way up here, and you're like, yo, I don't even see it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, all right, that's cool.
yeah. No,
But
that's dope shit, bro. Yeah, I just think when you're talking in these really God creation mindsets, um, it's easy for the ego to creep in, and I'm guilty of it. That's why I gotta check myself. Um, but yeah, bro, I appreciate you so much, man. I
yeah,
can't.
ditto, my
I know.
bro.
I know we've only had a few conversations, but damn, bro, you're the fucking man when it comes to articulating this shit.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciate it, man.
yeah,
I appreciate it. Likewise, bro. I mean, we definitely were meant to fucking connect in this fucking reality over some progressive shit. So like I'm
yeah,
happy you reached out, and I'm happy like, I
yeah,
even inspired you to reach out and shit or whatever, because I mean definitely the inspiration is mutual and shit. So that's what I think is very cool as well, man. So
yeah,
yeah, we're gonna keep this shit going, bro, for sure.
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna we'll chat on the back end, but yeah, let's just end it there, bro, because
Yep,
it's uh it's time for me to get some rest.
yep, all good.
But yeah, man, thanks everybody that's everybody that's gonna hopefully listen to this in the future. I want to say thank you. Thank you, Sun Cipher, for coming through. But that's it, guys. Peace out. And yeah, I'll catch you on the back end, homie.
All right, peace, bro. One.
Peace.